Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not messed with any of the capture card madness. I am fine sticking to PC for everything, basically. There's very few games I miss out on. There are, it's more than zero. Like, I don't know what, Bloodborne, maybe Journey, Mario Odyssey, and Mario Maker. Is that like my full list? 4 games? I mean, I guess there's some other Nintendo games that are at least reasonably appealing, like that I would at least have fun playing for a little while, like Splatoon or more Mario Kart 8 or something. I'm having a hard time thinking of any other console games I care about, though. there's probably a couple. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, I just don't know enough about it to even have a reasonable guess outside the default, like the default caution I have, where it's like, I don't know, man. That looks too. There's too many A's for my blood. There's like 2.5, 3 A's in that game or something. I don't know about that. I would have not hated Breath of the Wild from what I've seen, which is reasonably high praise considering I'm not particularly a Zelda fan and don't like open world much. But there's some cool stuff there that I would have appreciated at least, and I mean I guess have appreciated from watching a couple people, but not enough that I'm like excited. Shadows of Colossus, yeah, sure, that's it's not unreasonable. Mostly I have no interest in Monster Hunter, Devi. The little I know of Monster Hunter World means that I've got low interest in it instead of zero interest in it. Like, I've just flat zero interest in all the previous Monster Hunter games. But the little bit I know about Monster Hunter World makes it sound like it fixes at least some of the stuff that I would find terrible. Such that I'm probably still not gonna play it, but the interest is now low instead of zero. So, there you go. And we're getting Comcasted right now, so that's good. Looks like it's stabilized already. Okay. Oh yeah, Rich. You are, I believe, the first person I've heard say that. Like, everybody thinks Monster Hunter World is great. Like, it's, like, fixes a lot of the problems of the old one and further excels on the stuff that the series does well. And, yeah. People really like that game a lot. Yeah, I mean, like, I expect Breath of the Wild, like, I mean, when I first heard about it, it's like, well, it's open world Zelda. Like, I'm super not excited about that, but how they executed it mostly seems pretty good, so it would probably be about a 7 for me, but it might even be like a 7.5, maybe. That'd be hard to reach. We're still getting Comcasted, but... Just a little up and down on the frames there. Oh man, this is appropriate-ish music. I mean, we haven't been talking about Metroid directly for, that was like 40 minutes ago or something, but you close. The playlist is trying, considering the playlist wasn't active while we were playing the game. You know, it had the song ready for us. And, I mean, to be clear, I'm not, like, opposed to AAA games just on pure principle, but they just aren't games I'm gonna like most of the time. Like, that may be crazy. I mean, that is, like, even outside of that, it's just, like, a cool world to kind of roam around in. Like, hop on your little, like, flying glider, like, fly down off of a mountain. Like, that just looks like fun. Like, that's just looks cool. There's some good places to just explore and wander around. I don't know if I would have wanted to ever, like, finish the game, necessarily. I certainly wouldn't want to go crazy in trying to explore everything. I think that's just a bad idea in Breath of the Wild in general, but... I mean, feels not very Zelda is mostly just a pro for me, Zapper. My highest rated Zelda games are all 7 out of 10. I mean, I liked Ocarina of Time and Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 decently. Like, they were good. I enjoyed them. But I don't have a particular love of Zelda, and I kind of use, like, Zelda puzzle as a derogatory term. Like, Owlboy, it's got a lot of, like, Zelda puzzles in it, you know? Like, puzzles that aren't actually very... Well, it's complicated, like, right? I still gotta take a step back there, right? Like, if I had not played, you know, over 1,000 different video games, puzzles like that could still be interesting and satisfying to some extent, and they probably were when I was young and played Ocarina of Time, right? But now it's just, it feels really hollow and unsatisfying when puzzles are that straightforward and just like, you did the thing, like, you shot the arrow at the eye in the wall, and like, it's not really interesting or challenging, right? For someone that's played any reasonable number of games. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing, Muffin, because, I mean, high production value does still help make a game better and more enjoyable. We can keep talking about Owlboy here, right? Like, I still liked Owlboy. I had a reasonably good time with Owlboy, and it was worth playing. And, I mean, I'm one that values visuals in games pretty dang low. Like, approximately 95% of people who play video games value visuals more highly than I do. But I can still recognize Owlboy just flat has the best pixel art you'll see in any freaking video game. It's amazingly good. And it, like, was really cool and added a lot of charm to the game with, like, Otis's little expressions he made and stuff like that. Like, that did make the game more enjoyable, that kind of production value. But, I can still then be like, but man, I kinda wish they spent, like, 10% less time perfecting the visuals and spent that on making the gameplay and story better, right? Like, it's interesting. It's interesting. I have not checked out We Were Here yet, no. I mean, it doesn't need to be Factorio level puzzles in every game, crazy, but Factorio is pretty amazing, and we're probably gonna play more of that sometime in the summer or something, I would guess. But, I mean, I guess another good example of something we played recently, right, like Iconoclast, it definitely has some of those Zelda puzzles, but it also has several that are, like, one step up, right? Like, they're still mostly simple puzzles, and, like, some of them are just kind of like, oh, well, you just have to backtrack here after you have the thing, but there's a few of them that are, like, little slight puzzles that you actually do have to think a little bit, or, like, explore a little bit, and, you get some satisfaction out of solving those. So, like, you don't need to have them just be completely bog standard. Like, again, that's still the easiest example. Shoot the eye in the wall with an arrow sort of thing or whatever. You can go just a little bit more where they're still pretty easy and almost everyone playing can get there. Even if they're playing fairly casually, but, like, it still makes people think just that little bit, like, that gives it more life and, like, makes it feel less, like, just sterile and thrown in, like, oh, well, here's just more garbage to pad it out, right? But if you actually have to do something that feels interesting, it's like, oh, like, this, like, they can also help you figure things out, right? Like in again, Encounter class, there's you can gain extra height briefly if you shoot down while jumping, but that's never explained anywhere. But there's some of the, like, one or two of the chests that you can only get by doing that. So, like, they could encourage you to, like, try that. You like, then you get that little, like, aha kind of moment there, and that's satisfying when you can pull that sort of thing off. Deadly Rooms of Death. I mean, I've technically played that. I didn't like it when I played it, but that was like 16 years ago, approximately. So I don't know. I might like it more if I tried it now. And yeah, I would also disagree, Zapper. I don't think games need to do new things to be good. Shovel Knight did almost nothing new, and it's one of my favorite games. Shovel Knight is what, like, that's a great example of, like, being heavily inspired by old ideas and then bringing some modern game design into it to make it better, and, you know, throw in, like, what feels like a shallow story but actually has just enough depth to it to be interesting on top of that, and then you got Shovel Knight, like, so I feel like Shovel Knight does almost nothing new. So I think Shovel Knight's a great example of how good a game can be if you're not trying to be something new, if you're just trying to kind of perfect old stuff, right? That could be a Zapper. And I kind of push back against this because I feel people overvalue uniqueness. Uniqueness does have value, don't get me wrong. Like, being original and coming up with something that is actually different certainly has value. But there's still a lot of value in creating something that is almost entirely built out of other ideas. You're still putting your own spin on it, your own vision. You're still combining old ideas in a little bit of a different way they maybe haven't been done before. And that can still make a very refreshing and fun and interesting experience. I mean, we got this still sitting on the bed. Walk the Plank doesn't really do anything new, right? Like, when I was designing this, like, literally, I started browsing lists of, like, game mechanics, like, so a friend of mine came up with a basic concept and theme. It's like, alright, you're the worst pirates on a ship, shoving each other off the plank. And, like, his framework was this completely random thing, but thematically was interesting. So I just started literally browsing game mechanics. I'm like, alright, what, like, game mechanics would fit this theme well? Like, alright, so, it's like, not worker placement. Okay, simultaneous action selection. That would probably fit pretty well. What games have I played that have simultaneous action selection? Alright. So we, like, we kind of went through, like, discussing other games that had that kind of mechanic and, talked about different ways to implement it. And, like, so we talked about, like, you know, Robo Rally, where there's, like, a communal deck. Everyone draws cards off of that and plans them each turn. Our first prototype of this actually was closer to Robo Rally. And it's like, okay, well, that kind of works, but doesn't quite work there. And there were other games, even bad games, like, I don't know, Haunted House something. There's some garbage game that I rate like a 3 or something that still had a mechanic that we could maybe use and, like, make better to fit our game and stuff, right? But, in short, there is a lot of value to still make something even if you don't feel it's unique, like, truly different. A lot of people get stuck on that too, right? They're like, oh man, I don't want to write this story or make this game or make this song or anything if I don't feel like I'm doing something that's new. Like, but most people don't make stuff that's actually new, and you can still make something that is awesome, even if it's not new. You can make something that's decent if it's not new, too. Like, There's nothing wrong with making something decent. Making something decent's fine, and that's a great step early on, too. Like, the best way to get better at making stuff that's good is to make stuff that's decent. Right? Like, I mean, I'm bringing a lot of, like, general, I don't know, concepts of creation, of creative work in general, into the fray here, but, these are ideas I have, you know, developed over many years and feel reasonably strongly about, I guess. Let me actually take a moment to catch up on chat here. I don't really remember which Deadly Rooms of Death I played Iron first. It might have been the first one. I think it was just Deadly Rooms of Death. Like, I think that was just the name. Basically, yeah, Robo Rally is everyone's got a robot. You have to, like, you draw a couple cards and they're, like, different directions and movements and stuff, and you have to program them, and try to make it through this kind of death maze while, either killing the other robots or not getting killed by them or whatever. It's a fun concept, but takes, like, a million years to play, so I don't like it very much. It's just really, really slow paced. Yeah, that's another complication, right, Zafir? Like, I play a lot of games that are fine, right? Like, I mean, the average game I play is, you know, average. It's fine. Like, okay. But that's still usually something that was still kind of enjoyable to play, and sometimes there's still, like, a little nugget. It's like, okay, well, this game was kind of bland, but, you know, I did kind of really still like the one thing they did there, or whatever. Or even more extreme, we could have the stuff that I thought was kind of just bad, and I didn't really like. It's like, oh, well, Earthbound was kind of miserable, and I didn't really enjoy my experience with that, but, you know, like, I can still get other value from that, like, helping to understand why other people love it so much, for example. Like, I could see, like, the ending of Earthbound is done really well, and it was like, oh, well, that's actually pretty cool what they did with that. And I could definitely see further how Undertale was inspired by that, and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm not saying, like, anyone's wrong for being like, hey, I don't want to play anything that's just okay. I only want to play the good stuff, and that's kind of what I try to do for the most part these days as well. But it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of levels to it, and also from, like, a game design perspective, if you want to learn more about game design and getting better at it, specifically playing games that were influential is recommended, and a good idea there, even if some of them are pretty bad today and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, like, people don't really set out to make a bad game, generally speaking. I mean, that's not always the case. There are some that are just straight asset flips that are like, whatever, this'll take like $50 to make, and we'll probably make $120 off of it, so here we go. Like, but for the most part, people do want to make something that is fun, that's enjoyable in some way. And it's hard, like, because I mean, I'm critical, right, in general, and I still intend to stay that way and point out games' flaws and stuff, but it's still also helpful to take a step back and be like, yeah, I mean, people put years of their life into this, and, like, sometimes that, in some areas that shows, like, there's some cool stuff, you can see there's love here and stuff, like, there is good stuff here, and this would be pretty fun if there weren't, like, another 100 games I was looking forward to playing. That's just the reality of the situation. Like, there's so many games out there. Put all the good things in one game. That's right, Purple. That's right. Hey, Shadow Link. We're not ending yet, Shadow Link. We're just discussing game design and stuff. Yeah, Formal. Yes. I mean, so I mean, like that's another thing about creating stuff in general, right? Like it's not super easy to keep up that motivation. How's it going, Volvalex? Appreciate the 2 years of support. But I mean, I've got one game that's finished, right? This was easier than it should have been to get published. I feel like I got kind of lucky in a couple ways. Like, we tried some stuff, and it pretty quickly just worked and was fun. Like, it didn't take, like, hundreds of iterations until we finally tuned it to be perfect. It was like, alright, well, we got this idea. Let's try this. Okay, well, that doesn't work. Let's try this. Yeah, this works pretty well. This is fun. This is real good. Okay, let's remove that one card and tweak that one rule. Alright, we're done! Let's sit on it for 5 years and then show it to a publisher, and then the first publisher will pick it up. Sounds great. I haven't made any other games that are finished yet. I've got, let's see, I've actually organized this recently. 16 board game designs in various states of completion. Some of them are pretty low concept. 2 of them are actually playable and kind of decent. But like it's more fun to come up with cool ideas than it is to refine those ideas and actually make them good, it turns out. But the refining the ideas is the kind of important part to actually, you know, make something that you can, I don't know, sell, for example, or have people play and put out into the world. That is something I intend to put more effort into in the, well, this year, basically. Actively make sure I get more prototypes played and tested and stuff, because, again, it's super easy to, well, it's not even necessarily easy, but it's more fun, more exciting to, it's like, okay, we got this new idea. What can we do with this idea? Oh yeah, this could maybe work. This mechanic might work for it. Okay, let's put this together and actually see if it works. I don't know, that sounds like work. Oh, we put it together and it didn't quite work right. It was kind of dumb and not fun. I'm looking at you, Auction War from 2012. Yep, let's just give up on it and never play it ever again. I mean, that can be correct, but most of the time what you make is going to be bad the first time you make it. Most of the time. You got to put effort into actually making it good, but I see we're having another Comcast dip right now. Developing toes are in fact a different thing. Gonna drop all the frames, Comcast? You're just gonna, like, shovel frames out the window? I mean, we were about to take a break anyway. My audio usually still comes through, even if the frames are being dropped. And, yeah, I mean, Zapper, like I said, I'm still fairly harsh on games, and mostly intend to still be that way, but I do try to recognize some of the work devs have put in and stuff, you know, and probably shouldn't have started that side conversation when the frames were gone, but the frames are back. The frames are back. But yeah, I mean, it's still important to recognize that devs have put a lot of work into it. I mean, if you want, like, here's a hot tip: if you want people to be extra enthusiastic about your game while playing it, be there in chat as the dev of the game, because then you're a human rather than just a faceless game, and it's extra hard to say bad stuff about it. But although even that, I feel a little bad about it now. When we were playing Tower Climb, one of the devs stopped by, and there was a thing with the controls that I think is just really badly done, and there isn't an option to do it any other way. And I was kind of like complaining about it the whole time, even with the dev there. It's like that couldn't have felt super good for the dev. Greetings, JMKS. Yeah, I played Dead